Okay, look. Oh, hey guys. It's what am I supposed to? Oh wait, now I remember. Okay, so we're gonna go into some more of my my records. Okay, so this one came a couple days ago, and this is Yves Tumor. So they are a musician from, I think, born in Florida and grew up in Tennessee, I believe. Now, I'm using they, them pronouns because it's one person, but they are non-binary, so I want to use the proper pronouns. And I already did an unboxing of this, but might as well do it again. And I did not show the download code for this album, but this is one of my favorite albums of this year, and I think it's a improvement over their album they did. I mean, I liked their other album, but this album's a lot better, in my opinion. And also, you can see the stuff on the wall. I already pointed out in my other video, but might as well do it again, I guess. Let's see here. Let me go into here. Oh yeah, I left off on that. That's good. Okay, so this is Collapse by Aphex Twin, and I think this is probably his best album in a while. It's an EP though, but this is his best EP in a while, in my opinion. It's very progressive, has a lot of really interesting glitch influences and stuff like that. I wouldn't compare it up with his best releases, but it's still a pretty good EP. Really good listen. Let's see here. He has some decent EPs too. He's been mostly dropping EPs, which isn't too bad. But this is Bad Witch by Nine Inch Nails. Nine Inch Nails is kind of, in my opinion, it for a bit kind of went on a bit of a kind of halt where their music was kind of getting slowly and kind of not as good. But when he ever since he Trent Reznor got what's his name? How did I forget his name? I don't know why I forgot his name all of a sudden. Atticus Ross. Yeah, Atticus Ross. Ever since he got him into the group, like he did a bunch of soundtracks with him, their music has generally progressively been getting better. And they actually dropped two instrumental albums, Ghost 5 and 6, which I actually think is their best out of their newer stuff. I wouldn't put it up with their first few albums because those are untouchable for me. But Nine Inch Nails is a group that's doing pretty well for a group that's been active for a while, and this is my favorite out of the trilogy of the two EPs, and then this is an album. It was meant to be an EP, but it turned out to be an album. But it's a pretty good album. Sounds kind of influenced of Black Star by David Bowie, which is an influence on Trent Reznor's music. This is London Calling by The Clash. They are kind of like, I guess you can kind of call them a punk rock group. Some people don't really consider them to be a punk rock group because their style is pretty still and not that heavy. But this is a really fun album though. It's pretty easy to get into, and you probably heard a bunch of these songs from this album in movies and stuff. It's a really fun album. It's really musically diverse as well. Let's see here. That's good. I almost skipped over a bunch of stuff. Okay, this is Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots by The Flaming Lips. And this is my favorite album by them. It was the Soft Bulletin for a bit, but I don't know, I kind of keep returning to this one more than the Soft Bulletin, even though a lot of people consider the Soft Bulletin to be their best, but I prefer this. So, and the title song, the Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots Part 1 is actually my favorite song they ever did, and it's one of my favorite songs actually. It's interesting. This album is actually kind of only the first 4 tracks are really a part of the concept, but it deals with the pink robot symbolizing cancer. That's kind of what the title track is about. It's a lot more sad when you kind of dive into what the album's actually about. And I guess the Soft Bulletin was a bit more art based, but this one hits harder for me. And I don't know, I just prefer it. And this is Pretty Hate Machine by Nine Inch Nails. This is their first album, and this is kind of a bit more similar to some of the stuff they did later, where they were really influenced by electronic music, because this is a very electronic music influenced album. But this is my favorite out of their really electronic music works, I guess you can kind of say. And it's kind of like, some people kind of compare it to synth pop groups a little bit. And I can kind of see that. But I would see it more as influenced by groups like Skinny Puppy, like electro-industrial scenes in the 80s and stuff like that. It's probably what it's more inspired by, I would probably say. But I can definitely see the synth-pop comparisons some people make on it. This is American Football by American Football. And all their albums are called American Football. And their EP is even called American Football. All their albums are called American Football, but this is their first album. And every single one of their releases has a picture of this house, except their most recent one, because apparently the house, someone bought the house, so they had to just use something else. But a lot of people maybe see this as a bit of one of the more overrated Midwest emo albums, but it's still one of my favorites in it. And this is definitely the most well-known in the Midwest emo genre, I'd probably say. One of the members of Cap'n Jazz, which is another Midwest emo group before this one of the members I think is also in this group. But yeah, this is a really, really cool album. Really good and kind of a must if you really like Midwest emo music. Let me see here. Okay. This is Good Kid, Mad City by Kendrick Lamar. This is a concept album. Dealing with kind of someone who got, I guess, I don't know if this is actually based on an actual true story of Kendrick's. Like, he goes way too much into peer pressure and starts going inside a gang. And later they go and shoot someone, and then he finds out it's one of Kendrick's really close friends. And then he gets really upset and decides to leave it, and then he gets himself baptized, or no, he gets himself like saved, I guess, because this might have affected Kendrick Lamar's Christian faith. That is the truth. I prefer Tip of a Butterfly over this, but this has my favorite song that he ever did. The Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst. That's my favorite song Kendrick Lamar has ever done, and it really works well as a concept album, I'd probably say. I think a lot of people don't know it's a concept album when it broke into the mainstream. They probably didn't listen to it all the way through, but it really is an album you gotta listen to all the way through to really get the whole picture, I guess, of what Kendrick was trying to do with this. This is Amnesiac for Radiohead. This is kind of like a sequel to Kid A. And originally Kid A and Amnesiac were originally going to be a double album, but they didn't end up as a double album, but they were made around the same time. And it's definitely nowhere near as good as Kid A, but it's still a pretty great album. And it's a really, really great album. I wouldn't put it up with my top 4 favorite releases that they ever did, but they're also one of my favorite groups, so I still love this album. But it's definitely not as good as Kid A, but still pretty great. It has a lot of jazz influence and also has really, really electronic music influence by like Kid A is, but not nearly as much as Kid A, I would probably say. See here. What else is there? Okay, this is Selected Ambient Works 85 through 92 by Aphex Twin. And this is his most well-known album, and a lot of people consider this to be, well, this is his most critically acclaimed, but I think it's one of his more overrated ones. But it was my favorite for a bit, until I got into Richard D. James and Come Daddy and Window Licker and all that stuff. But still a really great album. And I guess you can kind of say this is probably his most influential. It's also his first release under the Aphex Twin name, at least. And it's very different from the weird stuff he did later, because this is a much more relaxed ambient techno kind of influence album. And it has this kind of logo on it. So I'd probably say if I were to go which cover I like more, say this, which album I like more, I'd probably say that. I don't know, I kind of like his crazier stuff more, I guess. I don't know why. But it's still a really good album though. Let me see here. Oh, here's a meme one. This is a meme. I don't know why it became a meme, but I remember I got obsessed with the Ocean Man song for a bit, shortly before it became a meme. I don't know, some weird coincidence, I guess. But this is, there was a time where I was super obsessed with this group. They're kind of like a non-metal version of Primus, I guess you can kind of say. And I think they used a couple other songs in SpongeBob, probably and some other stuff. But yeah, this is a pretty good group. They're very musically diverse. The music is very humorous and funny as well. And I prefer Quebec over this album, but still really love this album. And I used to remember a time I listened to it constantly. It's still a really great release, and I still really love Wheaton's music. But anyways, let me see here. I'm glad they reunited again. Alright, here's the Soft Bulletin by the Flaming Lips. And this is an album that kind of a lot of people kind of consider to be their best, but it's not their most popular one, but a lot of fans consider this to be their best. It's just my second favorite, in my opinion, but it's still a really great release, though. This has a lot more art-based elements, and there's a lot more progression. It's not as electronic music influenced as Yoshimi, but it still has the electronic music influence is kind of still there, but it doesn't have as much. It's not as big, I guess you can kind of say. Oh, there's this little. Oh, no, that's not. That's right. No, never mind. Okay, I just put it in wrong. Oh, it's already been 10 minutes. All right, let's go into one more, Carter. Then we'll give it a rest. Okay. 1 sec. We'll go into one more, and then we'll call it a day. So, this is Tagu Magoo by Can. This is their most popular. I think this is, I don't know if this is their most popular, but if it is, it's very, very interesting because this is their most experimental release, which usually isn't the case. Usually the more experimental releases are something that people would really kind of get into. And you know what's weird? This is only my second favorite album by them. I kind of prefer Future Days over this. But this album kind of starts out kind of normal, but then kind of progressively gets weirder. Like there's one track, Amjin, which is just, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's just like very eerie, creepy sounding. Now, I remember that one Pecky Nose track where there's one part where he just goes or something like that, and there's these weird kind of synth lines, but they both have this really avant-garde kind of experimental, just creepy progression all the way through them. But Hallelujah, or I think that's how you pronounce it, is a 18-minute like little funk song, progressive, almost like funk song. It's really good. But I prefer Future Days over this, but this is still a really great album though. It's and this is they're a krautrock band from Germany, and krautrock is a psychedelic rock, progressive rock, kind of electronic music rock style of music, and that was kind of big in the 70s. It was almost entirely done by Germans, which like them, and they were probably the most well known in the krautrock scene. Actually, Kraftwerk started out as a krautrock group, but I didn't think they really did krautrock that well, in my opinion at least. And I think they did electronic music better. But this is my favorite in the krautrock scene. There's other really good ones like New and Faust, and Amandul too, and Popol Vuh. But anyway, so yeah, this is if you like yeah, Germany was killing it in the 70s. Their electronic music in their krautrock. But anyways, that's kind of it. And thank you guys for watching. I'll do some more tomorrow. Not tomorrow, but the couple days we'll do some more. That's kind of it, guys. Bye.